Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I am your host, Ricky Camilleri, and you loved our next guest in Tania, Westworld, Shameless, and of course, you can now see Bojana Novakovic in the second season of CBS's Instinct, where she plays Detective Lizzie Needham, a strong-willed cop working alongside Alan Cumming's Dr. Dylan Reinhart. Let's take a look.
Hi.
Congrats on the second season of the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The microphone is aux.
It's aux?
Awkward.
Oh, awkward. Awkward. Is that some Australian slang
I don't
for
know.
awkward?
Yeah, I have a friend who talks like that in half words.
Aux.
Yeah.
I've heard it's awk, but not ox. I like ox. That's good. How much do you like working with Alan Cumming?
A lot.
Yeah?
Do you want me to elaborate?
I feel like the two of you have a good time together.
Apparently, we have amazing chemistry.
Apparently. I mean, I've seen it. It seems like you got a second season. That would usually signal pretty amazing chemistry.
Yeah, we get along really, really well. And we fight really well, too. They're not big
fight?
fights. We argue sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you argue about?
Generally, him trying to delete lines that I like saying that were written for me. And so then I'll say, no, I really enjoy saying the line. It doesn't need to be cut. You can cut your lines, but not mine. No, we have very, very constructive arguments. I absolutely love him. And I'd rather talk about all the non-fights we have, because I think we've actually had one argument last season. There wasn't even an argument.
So let's talk about the non-fights that you've had. What is it like with the two of you on set? How did it happen? Did you audition for the part and then it was a chemistry thing or anything like that?
No, the chemistry happened just because it happened.
You showed up and the two of you started working together.
Yeah, I got offered the role. I think I went to the meeting with the executive producers and the director, and I knew that if I rode my motorcycle, they would take me seriously for the role. So I rode up in my Harley into into CBS, and I had my helmet. And generally I leave it on my bike, but I took it with me to make them know and understand that I was on a motorcycle.
It's in LA or New York?
Yes, in LA. Okay. And I don't ride it here, it's in my garage. Okay. I'll ride it out of state, but it's hard to ride around here.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
you have to get good at like weaving in between cars, and those people make me very nervous when I'm driving. Yeah,
and you just don't know what the cars are going to do, and then you don't know when there's going to be a pebble on the road or a pothole or whatever. So I tend not to ride here.
I see motorcycles get very nervous for those people. I worry that they're going to get hurt.
I appreciate your care and concern.
I mean, it's my own neurosis. I don't know if I care if they get hurt. I just don't want to see it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your neurosis. I've got plenty, so I'll share some during our talk, I guess.
I hope so.
But back to Alan and myself. No, I went to the meeting. I got the job from the meeting.
From having the motorcycle helmet with you?
Well, no. I mean, I also got the job because I can act. And
okay.
They'd seen my work.
But I'm getting to a question, which is, should I go to every job interview or meeting after this interview holding a motorcycle helmet, whether I've ridden there on a motorcycle or not?
Just make sure that you know what motorcycle you're faking riding. Because if they ask you what's your motorcycle...
Harley.
Yeah, but what kind?
Chopper.
Okay.
It's a vroom vroom bike called a Harley. That's what I got.
I think you're doing really well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you like my helmet, guys? Do I get the job?
I think you're more a Ducati guy, though.
Oh, a Ducati guy. That's
or a BMW.
Another bike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's great.
Another vroom vroom cycle. Great. Yes.
Have you ever been on a motorcycle?
I have been on a motorcycle when I was a little kid, and then when I was traveling one time, we rode a dirt bike around, not a dirt bike, but a motorcycle that felt a little more like a dirt bike around, because it's like third world country. And I was terrifying all the time. We were going so fast down highways where it felt like no one cared how they drove, and I was terrified the whole time.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
It's not so terrifying when you're the one that's riding it, when you're the driver. When you're riding behind, it's a bit, I agree it's terrifying.
Is it not scary riding it around LA though? LA has a lot of traffic as well.
I mean, you can get scared riding a motorcycle anyway. You can get scared just going out into the street. Yeah. So I kind of like try to make choices about the fear. Right. It's a bit scary riding around LA, but to be honest with you, the traffic sort of, I mean, other than people being on their phones all the friggin' time, it's okay because the streets are straight. Right. They're gridded, but they're big and large, and you can get yourself out of trouble most of the time. And I'm a pretty careful rider. I don't speed past. I don't take risks on my motorcycle. I
ride a non-motor bike around a lot.
Well, see, I feel like that's more dangerous because you can't get out of trouble. How are you going to speed away from something that's coming at you?
What? Nothing's coming at me when I'm riding my bike. I'm not going to get hit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Drive this interview into the ground with a motorcycle right now. Okay. So you go in, you meet with them, you have the helmet, and you're acting as well, got you the part.
Well, I didn't audition, but my other acting. I've done things before.
Yes, I know.
Before this job. And then Alan and I actually met at a dinner in New York when I got here. It was really sweet, actually. He texted me the moment, I think, when they offer you the part and then you've got to do the deal, and, it's not announced until you've done the deal, and your lawyer talks to their lawyer who talks to some other lawyer, and, there's some god lawyer, and everybody decides, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, okay, now it's like official, as if I was ever going to say no matter what they offered me. Probably shouldn't
Don't say that.
I know, but it's like...
One day you're going to want a second motorcycle. You don't want to be saying that out loud.
I'm still paying off my motorcycle. So then he texted me and he was like, Bojana, I'm so happy that, this is you, and that you're coming on board, and then, let's have dinner when you get to New York. And then
the two of you ever met in any capacity?
Never.
Okay.
Never. I was a huge fan of his. I mean, it's pretty incredible when someone who you're a huge fan of, who's like a hero or someone you look up to. I really look up to his career. He's a theatre guy. He's really unique. He's himself. And when you get to work with that person, and then when that person becomes your friend, and I'm not a fan of people publicly declaring friendships and stuff, but I can't deny that we're friends, and that's a really incredible thing for me.
Of course, even if you don't hang out outside of work, you see each other every day on set, and you have to have a cordial relationship. I would imagine that constitutes enough of a friendship.
But we do see each other outside
of
work.
Oh my God, you do.
Yeah, but yes, you're absolutely right. I agree with that. And so we met, and I don't remember when it was that, maybe it was just when we started talking. I can't remember what it was, but I remember someone saying, oh my God, you guys have amazing chemistry. And I think I just sort of woke up to how incredible chemistry can be, because we weren't playing lovers. We're not playing two leads who are going to get together. There's never going to be this consummated relationship, because he has a husband and I live with a dog. And so the chemistry is intellectual, and it's emotional, and it's based in things that are sort of greater than sex. I mean, sex is pretty good, but it's based in things that are greater than that on TV. It's based in really, really substantial kind of connectivity between the two of them. And I really enjoy that.
Two people who greatly enjoy the presence of one another.
Yeah. And so it kind of goes really deep, and I really, really like that and enjoy it.
Do you guys find other things in the scenes when you're working together because of that chemistry?
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. We always find stuff, and I think even that little clip that you showed, I can't remember what I did, and I think it was just that day I was teasing him, and I think I just did it again. We do, and we improvise a bit when we can. Generally, they cut it out, but we like to do it anyway.
You are from Australia by way of Serbia, right?
Yes, born in Serbia, grew up in Australia, and then still kind of go back and forth between Serbia and here now.
How did you make your way here?
My parents made that decision.
Really?
Yes, when I was 7. Oh no, sorry, over there.
Australia.
Sorry.
When you were 7.
No, when I was. So I made my way here because when did I come here? I sort of came out here for the first time 10 years ago, but I officially moved here 5 years ago. And I just came because I wasn't really, Australia's a very small, oh my God, I've been in Serbia for 4 months, and I want to say it's a small tržište, because that's the word for it, and I can't find the word in English.
But tržište is...
Does anyone speak Serbian? No. Market.
Yes, all of
market,
that.
market. Australia's a small market, and a small
market.
Tržište. Yeah, it's
Tržište.
market. Yeah, I think. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm not calling you out. I'm trying to learn it for fun.
Yeah, tržište.
Tržište.
Everybody now.
I have trouble rolling the R's there, but yeah.
And I was running an independent theatre company with a friend of mine, because even the work in theatre, we weren't seeing plays that we wanted to see. I was kind of being offered roles in plays that I didn't want to be in, and then not taking the ones that I did want to be in, or not, I wasn't being offered them. And so we created an independent theatre company where we made our own work.
In Australia?
In Australia, yeah. And then I've done so many films in Australia, and they just never kind of made it big, I was a jobbing actor, and then at some point I developed some more self-esteem than I had, and I was like, oh, I'll just go to the US. There's a lot more work there. And I like that, making that decision, because there's just more opportunity here for me.
And then you got one of your larger roles from a fellow Aussie, though, right? And Tania, playing Tanya Harding's coach.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Margot and her
yes.
production company, I think, is also
Yes,
her
lovely
Australian friends. Right?
No, that's
Or
her English
partners.
friends. She's,
Oh, they're her English friends.
Oh yeah, she's taking over the Commonwealth.
Got it.
No, that's English, and her husband Tom, and yeah, Brett's there, and they're English, and I did that. But I did stuff before, like before Instinct, a lot of different films here and over there, and yeah. So I really like being here. It's really great. There's a lot to do here.
What was it like being in Tanya, working with Margot, and doing that character who's based on a real person?
It was really fun. It was actually really, really great. She's sort of the only sane character in any documentary that I've ever seen about that whole story, and I think she kind of came out as like the only sane character in the film in a way. It was really enjoyable. They were really, like, that film was shot quickly. It was incredibly fun to do, and there was no sort of preciousness around it. Like, Margot would come out of the trailer and be like, let's go, let's do this. And there wasn't like, let me get into character because I'm playing a real person. Like, it was just not like that. It was really easy.
Are you like
enjoyable.
that at all when it comes to your performances?
Probably.
Really?
No, I mean, I just need to. I need to focus a lot. My focus can really shift a lot. I like to talk to people, and I just like to talk to a lot of people, and have them talk to me. And so I can like meet a crew member that I haven't talked to in a while, and then want to have a chat with them. So I can tend to lose focus. So I need to kind of shift my energy away a little bit and sit apart from people sometimes, just to focus that energy.
Just to sort of memorize your lines and do the things that you need to do.
Not even to memorize them, just to get my energy into a place that I can perform from. Like, some people get off on going from one thing to the other, and I sort of not get off on, but I'm better when I ground myself a little bit in terms of performance. Yeah.
Do you, not to use this phrase again, but do you get off on performing in any way? Is performance for you in front of the camera or on the stage a release, a catharsis?
I mean, in preparation, no, preparation is very technical for me, I think, because you need to put in the hard work. Like, you can't just, you got to do the scales, you got to do the arpeggio. Like, you need to do all of that stuff. If I'm relating the metaphor to music or whatever, like, you've got to do that stuff that's not exciting and not just play the symphony. During the act of it, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I guess the term "getting off on it" works. Yeah. Yeah, I really do. Why would I do it otherwise? It's terrifying. Like, why would you do something if you weren't getting some kind of satisfaction from it in that way?
Is it a very different experience performing in something like Tanya, though, versus something like Instinct? Are the tools that you need and the tools that you use a lot different?
Yeah, I guess so. Look, my role in Tanya was small. It was a fun thing to do. I just had to work on the dialect a bit and watch the videos and kind of figure out that woman. Whereas Instinct is like 16 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so you really do need to find ways to have fun. Alan is amazing at that. That's why I love working with him. He really has fun at work. And sometimes you need to just, I can't phone it in, but sometimes you need to not learn your lines and get your 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep, because it's a Thursday and you've slept for 4 hours every night, and then you need to catch up. So it is really, really different.
And the hours keep getting bumped usually throughout the week, right?
And it's different turnaround to film. It's less turnaround, so and sometimes they force your call. They come up to me, they force my call. And in the old days, you could ask for like 10 grand in an envelope if they want to force you, or $1,000 in an envelope, cash. And I always say to the producer, I'm like, cash. And she comes up with like a $5 or like $1 bill.
Force your call. What is that? Does that mean that they're...
That means that I don't get my turnaround. That means
Right,
that I don't
that's
get
right.
my sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
You're asking for $10,000 cash when that
That
happens.
used to happen. It doesn't happen anymore, obviously.
Now, we briefly mentioned that you're from Australia by way of Serbia, but you are also making a documentary about your family in Serbia. You were
Yes, I
telling me
am.
about this in the green room. What prompted that?
So when I came out to LA, it's interesting what prompted it, because it's not part of the film, because it feels a little bit like it's not really part of that story, but it's a really nice rug. See, I told you I'd get distracted.
You want to talk to the rug and have it talk back to you?
Hey, rug. Nice colors. So when I moved to LA, I got my first like Hollywood job. I had my first Hollywood breakup. The paparazzi like was there.
What was your first Hollywood job?
Well, my first Hollywood job was, well, it was like my official job. Oh no, it wasn't actually. It was Rake, but that was my first TV show. No, I'd done films before. I did like Edge of Darkness, and I did that film with Keanu. What was that called?
Oh right, Edge of Darkness.
No.
Shot in my hometown.
Oh, Boston.
Oh no, wait, maybe that was a different Mel Gibson movie that was shot in my hometown.
Yeah, maybe.
In Northampton, Mass.
Yeah. No, that wasn't.
I thought that was
I think he was there. I wasn't there. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
in Boston. Anyway, and then I was I was feeling a bit down on myself, and I thought, you know what? Why don't you learn to edit? Because I've been editing all these really weird little videos on iMovie, and I love iMovie. It's really great. And I was like, why don't you learn to edit? Get an Avid system. I made a bit of money, so I bought Avid. If anyone needs one, I'll just give it to you. I've never used it. So I bought this Avid system, and then I was like, I'm going to learn to edit. I've got to make a short film. I've written some scripts. I was like, these aren't grabbing me, and my mother was rekindling this relationship with an aunt of mine, one of her sisters, who had been sort of disowned by the family and who she hadn't spoken to in years, and she'd kind of started to talk to her again. And she was the most fascinating member of my family forever and ever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and make this. The documentary is called The Forbidden Aunt. By the way, it's not 10 minutes long. It's a feature-length documentary, and it's crazy. But my intention was to make this really feel-good movie about this woman who I wasn't allowed to associate with, because as an adult, I discovered she was an alcoholic. And so my mum never wanted me to like develop alcoholism by hanging out with her or whatever it was. My poor mum, if she listens to this, oh my God. And lo and behold, like I had gotten sober 8 years before that and had been a huge drinker while I wasn't associating with the Forbidden Aunt. And so I wanted to go and get to know her because I knew that she had started to redeem herself by like looking after old people. She'd gotten sober by herself in this small town in Serbia. And the other thing that I had known was that she was this revered hairdresser over there. Vidal Sassoon back in the 90s wanted her to work for him in Paris, and she couldn't leave. She could never even get on a plane. She couldn't even get to Belgrade on a train. She was so traumatized by her past. She had severe PTSD because of the way that she was brought up, and she was an unwanted daughter. And so I went over there thinking that I was going to make like this amazing documentary about this amazing aunt who was incredible, and she was going to lift me from this heartache. And I ended up getting to know this woman who is, on one end, the life of the party and this incredible, passionate, enchanting woman, and on the other hand, these stories of like severe neglect of her children, her alcoholism, and stories about her upbringing that I didn't even know, and then her past and her childhood, and then my cousin shone light on some of her child, and I was just like, I was videoing everything. I was just documenting it all, thinking, oh, none of this is going to make it into my 10-minute film that I'm going to use to learn how to use Avid. And I showed the material. Basically what ended up happening was her and her daughter confronted each other about generational trauma that they have not talked about in decades. And meanwhile, they're all watching Turkish soap operas and talking about how these characters reflect their own lives and how much they love these women. And they're like obsessed with Turkish soap operas as if it's a life that they can relate to, which they can actually, because the extremity of these soap operas that they're watching is exactly what's going on with them. And they're feeling empowered to talk about it because it's on television as well. And so I have like this 100 hours of footage, including archival stuff that I found, and I showed it to a producer, and he said, this is not a 10-minute film, we're making a feature-length documentary. So we got support from the Serbian Film Commission, and it's been like 5 years. I've been interviewing people over that time, finding people from her life, and finally having people agree who wouldn't agree before. And now our final filming was me being in Serbia, playing her in reenactments of her life in the style of Turkish soap operas. So I basically I can direct soap operas. If anyone needs a director on a soap opera, I watched like 200 episodes of Turkish soap operas.
That sounds like so much fun, directing a soap opera.
It's the best. I want to do it. Yeah, I want to do it for real. I mean, yeah, but I want to do it in the style that we did it. Like and I played her because she wanted me to play her. She had this fantasy that like I would play her one day, and I was like, well, why don't I just make this a reality for you in the documentary that we're making about you and me? So it was, anyway.
So are you gonna like intercut? And I don't want to go too far because I don't want to give
You
anything
can go as
away.
far as you want.
But are you gonna intercut that footage, or is it more like
is.
one big moment that happens?
No. It happens throughout. So basically, look, her life is so. The only thing I don't want to give away is the last half hour of the film because stuff gets revealed that is absolute. Like you think her life is hard, and you think the life of her kids is hard due to like trauma that you've heard about, and then you just get swept in this insane reality of what actually went on and what it's like for them to confront it at the end of the film. And the end of the film is all now. It's all today. There's no interviews. Whereas the first part is her life story. And so we intercut. Basically what I did was I created a screenplay based on all of the interviews, and then we lip sync. Whenever anyone's quoting anyone, it's lip synced in the
Soap opera reenactment, right?
Yeah, and so
like
I had
drunk
to get
history in a way.
Yes, it is like drunk history actually, exactly like that, but Turkish soap opera.
Right, and a serious documentary, not
it
drunk
is
history.
serious. Yes, exactly. No, it is definitely a serious documentary, and we had really incredible. Like the thing that I couldn't have here, is that in Serbia we had like some of the most famous actors in Serbia come out and do it for a day, like play my grandfather or play like an ex-lover or something like that.
Did you ever feel like there was, because it's such a personal documentary and it's your family, and in order to do a documentary, you still have to tell a story and you still have to remove yourself a little bit from it so you can actually craft it into a story? Did you ever feel like the soap opera element and creating a meta soap opera element helped you distance yourself a little bit from the personal aspect of the story so you could?
Yes. The interesting thing is that the more I acted in the soap opera, the more I became like her. Like there's actually a whole segment of the documentary where we discuss how similar we are, and other people discuss it too. So she's more like me than, most of my family, and a lot of people think that I'm more similar to her in personality than my own mother. But the reason that stuff is there is so that people can actually handle the material that's being discussed, because it's incredibly difficult. And so making it kind of this dark, having a dark comedic kind of tone to it really helped craft it, and it definitely distanced me. Like I had fun playing her in these instances, as did the kids who were playing her children, of instances of her like, drunkenly like having to be dragged home by her kids when they were babies. Like it made it fun. Like, and you sort of need that when the topic is this, and I hope that she gets it. She's got a pretty dark sense of humor. I think she's going to get it.
When do you think we'll be able to see it?
I'm going to have it finished by the end of the year for sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we have, I've never spoken about it publicly and I've been making it I haven't been making it for 5 years, but I shot it 6 years ago, the first part, and then I kept adding stuff, and I never wanted to talk about it because we didn't have that thing. Like we didn't have that stylistic element, so we didn't have the documentary, and now we do because we have these reenactments and it has this style and this tone, and we know what it is, and we just have to now craft it. And it's in rough cut stage, so that's good.
And did you ever learn Avid?
Never. I know, that's why I'm saying
editor.
someone can have it. Well, and he worked on Final Cut, but right now I'm facing like, he's not, because it's like we don't have much money, so people kind of work on it when they can. So there's this kind of month and a half lull, and I've decided in that month and a half lull to learn to use Final Cut and just to snippet the film.
I think it's easier to use than Avid.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Final
good.
Cut.
Thanks
Yeah.
for that. Is your knowledge of editing systems as good as your knowledge of motorcycles?
It's a little bit better.
Just to bring it full circle.
It's a little bit better. But both of them, you're just cutting. A couple questions from the audience. What do we got?
Hi, Bojana.
Hi.
I have a question. I know you talked about working with Alan Cumming and how much you enjoy it. I was wondering, out of really anybody that you could imagine working with, like who would your dream scene partner be?
Oh, that's pretty amazing. When someone asks me questions like that, I don't know whether to answer like some dude I have a crush on, or like some amazing actor, or like someone like my mum, like someone who's never acted and who I want to work with. So I'd rather like give you that convoluted answer than like this one kind of like, oh, this actor, like Meryl. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Meryl? So yeah, I and who wouldn't want to work with some crush? So I don't want to get in trouble by naming naming an actor I have a crush on at the moment because he's married and I just don't. I'm not into that. So, yeah. So
Crushes can be married, though. It's a crush. It's a
No, they
fantasy.
can.
It's not a
They
real.
can.
It's not a real thing.
Blake Shelton.
There it is.
No,
Really?
no, it wasn't him. I just said him
okay.
because
Also, not
I
an
do have a crush
actor.
on
You
him,
can get the Blake Shelton is the country star, right?
yeah, yes,
Right.
good
So
one.
not an actor. You can teach him how to act as well.
I would love to teach him how to act.
Doesn't sound like it's about acting.
Why not?
It sounded like innuendo.
No, excuse
If I
me.
had said to you, I would love to teach you about acting, you'd go, get away from me.
I mean, you're the one that suggested I get off on acting, so.
That is, okay, fair enough. Okay, one more question.
One more.
Hi there.
Hi.
So your documentary sounds utterly fascinating.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, my delayed. Anyway, your documentary sounds super fascinating,
Thanks.
and you just seem to talk with such care and excitement about other people and their stories. I wonder if you would want to explore more docs in the future.
Thank you for asking that question, and thank you for having faith in me that maybe I could. The deal is with this film as well was that I was like, I want to direct, so let me try and do that as well. And I made a kind of pact with myself that I wouldn't put pressure on myself for this to be good. That I can do it, and I can do it. I can get a B+. You know, I'm a perfectionist, so and I don't think I'd ever finish it if I didn't make that kind of pact. I think it's going to be a really good documentary, and I really would like to make more stuff in the future. Documentaries are really hard, really, really hard, and they take a long time, and there's no money in them. And I'm saying that as a first-time documentary maker. I can't even imagine what it would be like to make more. I would absolutely love to, but I want to see how I do with this. I really want to stay loyal to the process of this documentary because I've allowed it to kind of take on its own path. And in every delay and in every problem that we've had, there's been a solution that's even better than what I could have come up with. And if I had finished it 3 years ago, you know, it would have been. But I know that if I was to make another one, it would be a different level. And I don't want to talk myself up yet. I want to make it. And then hopefully that does happen. But having directed the soap opera segments, I would also love to do something scripted. Because every filmmaker I've spoken to who's done both, some won't ever go back to documentaries. They think it's too hard to, you know, it's really, really hard. But I like it as long as I don't get in my own way with my own, when's this going to finish, when's this, when that. I know that's a bit of a convoluted answer to your question, but as you can tell, I like convoluted answers. And I would like to, and I'm already thinking about the next subject. I'm actually already talking to him. Yeah.
You're talking to the next subject of a documentary?
I've already pitched it to him. He loves it, my idea. Because it involves reenactments. I'm so into reenactments now. So, but anyway, that's one that I shouldn't talk about.
Do a documentary about a reenactment actor?
Maybe I should become a reenactment actor and then do my own documentary about myself when I'm 70 and play myself from the age of 14 to 70.
And then hire somebody else to do the reenactments of your reenactments.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is amazing.
You're welcome. Instinct premieres this Sunday night on CBS,
Yes.
right? Season 2 premiere. Everybody please give a huge round of applause for Bojana Novakovic. Let's hear it.